Okay, we need to clear something up because Hollywood has folks confused way too long. You hear hoodoo and voodoo and automatically think dolls, curses, somebody sticking pins in something, and some creepy stuff happening at midnight. Baby, no. Hoodoo and voodoo are not the same. They share African roots, their histories cross paths, but one developed as an African American spiritual tradition, while the other refers to distinct religions tradition. So today, we're separating the two. First, let's talk about why people mix them up. Both hoodoo and traditions, commonly called voodoo, have roots connected to African spiritual traditions carried across the Atlantic during the slave trade. Enslaved Africans didn't arrive in the American spirituality empty-handed. They brought knowledge, they brought beliefs, they brought herbal traditions, they brought relationships with ancestors, they brought ways of understanding the spiritual world. And when slavery tried to strip people of their languages, families, communities, and religions traditions, those beliefs didn't simply disappear. They adapted. But here's where the paths start separating. What is voodoo? First, when people say voodoo, we have to be precise. Haitian voodoo in Louisiana or New Orleans voodoo are related traditions, but they aren't interchangeable. Haitian voodoo developed from African religions traditions, particularly traditions associated with West and Central Africa, while also incorporating Catholic influences during the colony period. Voodoo recognizes a supreme creator, while spirits commonly called the Iwa serve important roles within religions and spiritual life. And ancestors mattered too. This isn't just something throwing ingredients into a pot calling it voodoo. We're talking about an actual religion, tradition with communities, ceremonies, spirits, histories, and practices. And that's important because popular culture has spent generations reducing voodoo to something dark and frightening. The real history is much deeper than the horror movie version. Now, hoodoo, that's where the conversation changes. Hoodoo is generally understood as an African American tradition of folk spirituality, root work, and conjure that developed in the United States. And unlike voodoo, hoodoo isn't one organized religion. There's no single hoodoo church. There's no one authority telling every practitioner exactly what they must believe. There's no universal initiated that makes somebody hoodoo. Historically, practice varied by family, community, and region. You might hear words like root work, conjure, root doctoring, and hoodoo even became deeply intertwined with Christianity, particularly in African American communities. That's why when we get deeper into this series, we're going to have to talk about something people don't always expect: the Bible. Because the Bible, especially the Psalms, became important within many hoodoo traditions. Let's talk about why hoodoo became so personal. Here's something from this history that really hits different. During slavery, African Americans were deliberately separated from communities, relatives, spiritual leaders, languages, and traditions. So preserving spirituality wasn't always something people could openly gather together and practice. Sometimes it had to happen quietly. Sometimes knowledge survived inside families. Sometimes traditions changed because people had to work with whatever plants, roots, materials, and religion language were available around that time. That's part of why hoodoo became so adaptable. You didn't necessarily need a giant ceremony. Your spiritual work could happen right inside your home. And that is one of the major differences we're talking about. So, let's put them side by side. Voodoo, a religion with specific religious traditions, spirits, ceremonies, communities, and lineages. Hoodoo, an African American folk spiritual tradition involving practices such as rootwork and conjure. Voodoo has the Iwa. Hoodoo does not require belief in the Iwa. Both can involve ancestors and spiritual forces. Both carry African influences. Both develop under the enormous pressure created by the slavery and colonialism. But sharing history and certain influences does not make them identical. Think about it like this. They're relatives, not twins. And that's exactly where popular culture keeps getting it wrong. Now, this is where Hoodoo gets really interesting. Because historically, Hoodoo can include things like roots, herbs, candles, spiritual baths, cleansing, prayer, petition, protection work, divination, and different forms of conjure. And yes, they are workings and spells. But we're not jumping straight into that. Because if you're going to learn Hoodoo, I believe you should understand the history and foundation before you start trying to work anything. And we're building that foundation right here. Just stay tuned. So the next time somebody tells you Hoodoo and Voodoo are the exact same thing, you already know better. They have historical connections, they share African influences, but they develop into distinct traditions with different structures, histories, and practices. And we're just getting started. Because in the next episodes, we're going deeper into root work, ancestors, herbs, candles, the Bible, and Psalms, protection, cleansing, and the traditions that survive generations. And for those of you interested actually learning the workings and spells, I'm saving that deeper material for my members. This public series is where we learn the history, meaning, and foundation first. Because Hoodoo isn't just something you saw in a movie. It's history, it's culture, it's survival, and it's a tradition worth understanding. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next lesson.